Good afternoon, I'm Vashan Brown with the Midday News. Special welcome if you're watching on onespotmedia.com. A reminder as well that you can watch TVJ live by downloading our One Spot Media app in the Google Play Store or the App Store. That's the number 1 followed by the words Spot Media. A woman is dead and the 2 others are nursing gunshot wounds following a gun attack on Denver Crescent in Marvelous, St. Andrew last night. The deceased has been identified as 28-year-old Patricia Facey of 13 Denver Crescent. One of the victims, a 15-year-old girl who attends a high school in St. Andrew. The other woman is said to be 58. The incident took place at 9:28 last night. According to the communication arm of the Jamaica Constabulary Force, the victims were sitting under a mango tree across from their house when a white Nissan Tida motorcar drove up with men armed with high-powered weapons. They fired multiple shots, hitting the females. They were rushed to hospital, where Miss Facey was pronounced dead. The condition of the others is not known. Now, no motive has since been established for the attack. One man is dead following a motorcycle accident in Barton, St. Elizabeth yesterday evening. He has been identified as 27-year-old Javion Roden, a laborer of Barton. About 6:25 p.m., 2 motorcyclists were riding along the Barton Main Road when a truck stopped to let another truck pass. Upon reaching a section of the road, Mr. Roden crashed into the back of the truck. The other rider who saw the accident rushed Mr. Roden to the hospital, where he was pronounced dead. Indicom is to determine whether charges should be laid against the policeman whose 2-year-old son was fatally shot in Brayton, Portmore, St. Catherine more than a week ago. The toddler died from a bullet wound to his head. It's reported that on August 10, the constable who is attached to Mobile Reserve went home after feeling ill. He fell asleep with his weapon. The constable awoke and saw his son with a gun. It's reported that he was attempting to retrieve the weapon when it went off, hitting the child in the head. Indicom investigators are today expected to question the policeman. Residents in Lawrence Tavern, St. Andrew are upset because of the slow pace of work being done in the area. The residents say they were promised that the road would be completed by September. However, the road is nowhere near completion. More from TVJ's Janela Perseus.
It was a project which was supposed to have lasted for 3 months. Work here in Mount Ogle started in June, but from the looks of things, it could be a few more months before the job is complete. And with rains on the horizon, there are concerns it could extend into the new year. But the people served by this road are at their wits' end.
Treat people like roll on the gully? Of course it's dangerous. Treat people roll on the gully, you know? Bamboo, you have to use draw them up. You must use bamboo draw them up. It's really bad.
And she said yes. And you know, it's really hard to really travel from the other end. Most people use to this way because it's a shorter way and it's an easier way. My church just up the road there and I'm cut off from my church. I can't put on my clothes now walking in the mud. If rain fall, if I go to church today and the rain come down, how do I get back home?
Under the project, a retaining wall is to be constructed, the road should be reinstated, and the community should get a new drainage system. We were unable to reach the NWA for comment. Janela Perseus, TVJ News.
Taxi operators who ply the Santa Cruz to Malvern route in St. Elizabeth are concerned with the condition of the road. The road has narrowed as a result of overgrown bushes on the sides. Now, the taxi operators believe this will make it difficult for motorists when the new school term begins, as big buses will resume plying the route. The taxi operators are appealing to the Member of Parliament for Southeast St. Elizabeth, Franklin Witter, to assist in debushing the road before school reopens. Now, they claim they have cleaned 8 miles of the road twice on their own, but they can no longer do it. Jamaica will today experience a partial solar eclipse. It is expected to begin at approximately 8 minutes to 1 and end at about 2:35. So the entire process is to last a little over 2 hours, with a maximum eclipse to be seen at 8 minutes past 2. President of the Astronomical Association of Jamaica, Martin Whitman, spoke about the eclipse.
Does it happen? An eclipse is an event, a celestial event, whereby you have one body, the moon, passing between 2 other bodies. So you'd have the sun and the earth, thereby casting a shadow onto the face of the earth. And that shadow is standing on the surface of the earth. You will see the sun being blocked out by the moon. And eventually, if you're in the direct path, the entire sun will be blocked out, and thereby day becomes night.
He outlined what will happen and how we should view the eclipse.
Once the skies are clear, we'll be able to see what is called a partial eclipse. So the moon will partially cover the sun as we look at it, and in a little while I'll stress
But we're not
safety.
looking at it.
If you have the right equipment, you'd be able to look at it. And
Okay.
the equipment is solar filters or solar glasses, and there are other ways as well that one can
Watch
see
it
the
without
eclipse.
watching it.
He was speaking on TVJ's Smile Jamaica this morning. Now, the Minister of Health is advising the public to be cautious during the partial solar eclipse. Chief Medical Officer Dr. Winston Delahaye says persons should refrain from looking at the sun during this period as it can cause permanent damage to the eyes. And you are looking at a live shot of the skies right here in Jamaica. Now, the total phase of this solar eclipse is not visible in Jamaica, but we will be able to observe a partial solar eclipse, as I mentioned earlier. But there are many places where you will see a full eclipse, like some parts of North America. As you can see, there is nothing visible just yet. The partial eclipse will be visible in Jamaica starting at 8 minutes to 2, and the maximum eclipse visible in Jamaica will be at 18 minutes past 2. Also, you can view the partial eclipse live on our website, televisionjamaica.com. With approximately 2 weeks to go before the start of the next academic year, there is indication that some government-run schools could be without their full cadre of teachers. The Jamaica Teachers Association, JTA, says this is due to several of its members migrating in recent months. It is conducting checks to determine areas where there are likely to be shortage of teachers. Jamaica Teachers Association President Howard Isaacs spoke with our news center.
We are hoping there will be sufficient teachers. However, we are getting some feedback that suggests there may be some challenges. However, we are not yet fully cognizant of what the numbers are looking at. I know, for instance, that a couple colleagues that I would have seen in the classroom last year have migrated to the States or the United Kingdom to work. So we are still doing the calculations.
And the JTA president says teachers have cited the recurring problem of poor working conditions as the main reason for not remaining in the classroom.
Teachers in particular have concerns about the conditions of work that they have to work under. Some of them, many of them, if not most of them, have concerns about the salary that they receive and the work that they have to put in to receive the salary. And therefore, if opportunities are presented, some will go. And it's a general tendency over the years. And unfortunately, it continues to happen because we are not able to keep our teachers.
A decision has been made by the administration of St. Mary's College in Above Rocks, St. Catherine, to release CSEC and CAPE results to students. The school's CXC online portal is now open to all students. TVJ News had received reports over the weekend from parents whose students attended the institution that the administration had made a decision to withhold CSEC and CAPE results from those who have outstanding fees. The students were instructed by the principal that they would be allowed to view their CXC and CAPE results after they had received clearance from the school's office. However, that decision was withdrawn after the matter received media attention. The massive pileup of cargo at Kingston Freeport terminal following the recent strike by haulage contractors has now been cleared. However, the contractors are still encountering long lines before accessing shipping containers. The Port Trailer Haulage Association gave an update following the implementation of measures last week to clear the more than 1,000 containers that had piled up following the strike. Its president, Ricardo Valentine, outlined some of the challenges which still exist.
Of course, the containers that would have come in subsequently are still there to be moved. The problem is the amount of empty containers coming from those backlog containers that we have drawn are yet to all return to the terminal. Therefore, the queuing continues until that has gone right down. We're still going to have a fair amount of queuing.
Operations at Kingston Freeport Terminal were halted for 3 days as truckers withdrew their service over frustration with a slow turnaround time when using the facility. It was reported that the problem was caused by kinks with a new operating system at the wharf. Transport Minister Mike Henry has requested a detailed report on the spate of attacks on the Jamaica Urban Transit Company, JUTC. Since the start of the year, there have been more than 60 incidents in which JUTC buses have been damaged after being stoned. 3 such incidents took place last week in Bull Bay, St. Andrew and the Spanish town St. Catherine. The Transport Minister is trying to find out what has triggered the attacks.
As to find out how dramatic the overall situation is and what may or may not be some of the social causes that could relate to that. And I remind the public that the safest form of travel in Kingston is still the JUTC buses in every sense of the word. And seeing also that I'm looking at and trying to ensure a better timetable using the main corridors and using feeder routes to get people into the main corridors, I am going to be following this whole issue very carefully.
The report is expected to come from the management of the JUTC. National Security Minister Robert Montague says he will have discussions with the Justice Ministry to find means to incorporate the wearing of electronic ankle bracelets for people on bail. Mr. Montague was speaking at a function at the University of the West Indies Mona campus recently. He explained that up to March this year, some 143 persons who were on bail were also charged for murder while on bail for another serious offense.
We could have saved the lives of 143 Jamaicans. So since bail is a right, we are going to enter into some discussions with the Ministry of Justice to ask that for some categories of crime, the persons on bail should wear an electronic bracelet as a condition of bail, so we know where they are in case a crime is committed.
He says the government is also in discussions with a supplier to utilize electronic bracelets for persons who are also subjects of a restraining order.
So how it will work is that Professor Shearer would have taken out an order against Colonel Price, her dear husband. And he will get a bracelet and she'll get a transponder. And if he comes within the limit of the 100 yards from her, her thing will go off and beep. And at the center, it will also send off a signal, and they call him and tell him, youngster, step back. And she will also know that he's close by so she can close the door.
And sports now. The most prestigious age group junior table tennis championship serves off at the National Arena today with perennial top teams Trinidad and Tobago, Dominican Republic and Cuba joining other Caribbean hopefuls including Jamaica and Barbados for the week-long tournament. President of the Caribbean Regional Table Tennis Federation, Teddy Matthews, expects some high-quality performances.
From what I've seen thus far, I think we've had more teams than last year, and that is very good. We have at least 73 players, 46 boys and 27 girls, and that augurs well for the future of table tennis in the Caribbean.
And just before we leave you, we once again show you a live shot of the skies here in Jamaica. Now, the total phase of this solar eclipse is not visible in Jamaica, but we will be able to observe a partial solar eclipse. But there are many places where you will see a full eclipse, like some parts of North America. And as we close, we go back to our live shot, of course, above Kingston. There is nothing visible just yet. The partial eclipse will be visible in Jamaica starting at 8 minutes to 2 o'clock, and the maximum eclipse visible in Jamaica will be 18 minutes past 2. And a reminder that you can view the partial eclipse live on our website, televisionjamaica.com. And that's the Midday News. I'm Vashon Brown. Join us at 7 for Primetime News Package. On behalf of the news, sports and production teams, have a good afternoon.